Hey Arch, how you doing? This is Ryan with TrendLizard. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. Thanks for reaching out, sending me an email with the three tickers you would like me to analyze for you this month. We're going to take a look at Microsoft, Zoom Communications, as well as a China Internet ETF, KWEB. Starting with Microsoft, that's the first one we have up here. One we've looked at before, maybe not with you, Arch, but with other people that have requested this in the past. It was incepted back in 1986. Basically, it's been through three phases through its lifetime. The first phase was a large five-wave advance into the 2000 high. From there, it had a very large three-wave pullback into the 2009 low, and since then, it's been in a very strong extended run to the upside from there. So on a very long-term time frame, it's obviously very bullish. It continues to go up, and it's only given us two things: trendy upside movement and counter-trend downside movement. So on a very long-term time frame, it's definitely bullish. Let's go ahead and zoom in. We want to take a little bit closer look, obviously, at what's going on off the 2009 low. Here's that chart. Here's the advance. What we see a very large pullback, an up leg first, and then a very large pullback for nearly 2 years in 2010 and 2011. Since then, it's been in a very straight line advance, not really any large pullbacks over the course of that time, which to me indicates that it's all one large third wave advance that it's been in basically since late 2011. Now, when you have a move that's this direct, it's not always super easy to count it out or to be super confident in your labeling, but this is what I can see when I do that labeling. And basically, again, I said it's one large third wave advance, and you have the first, the second wave, the third, and the fourth wave, and currently in the fifth wave of that larger third wave advance off the 2011 low. This all counts out very well. The thing that interests us as such is what's happening then off the 2020 low, because when this up leg completes, there is the potential for a larger fourth wave pullback to offset what happened back in 2010 and 2011. So if we're going to get a comparable pullback once the current up leg completes, you're talking about the potential for a pullback for a year or two, probably a time that you would not want to be involved with Microsoft. So let's go ahead and zoom in and see what's going on off the 2020 low, because when it does complete, we have to anticipate a larger pullback at that time. So here we go. Here's the zoom in. It wasn't super easy to count. It took me a lot of time and going back and forth just to make sure that we weren't breaking any rules, and you can kind of tell because it's a pretty intense looking labeling off of March's low. But at the end of the day, the important thing is upside movement is trendy, downside movement is corrective, and that's true most importantly on the pullback that happened off of September's high. So no matter how you want to label this thing, off the high to this advance, it's a counter trend move. So the only conclusion is that the trend is still up, no matter how you want to label this, whether you believe this labeling right here or not. The point is there's no indication that a major high is in based on the counter trend nature of this pullback in September. So the way I have this labeled is first in a second wave, a third wave up into September's high, a fourth wave pullback, and currently in the fifth wave of the advance, starting off of September's low, which is pretty much what we're seeing in a number of different places. So that all kinds of lines up with what we're seeing here. So the bottom line is we're bullish on Microsoft as long as it's trading above 207. If at any point it moves below 207, it indicates a larger pullback off of September's high, and that opens the door to a larger pullback from there. We have to start wondering if maybe the high to this third wave is already in, things of that nature. So that's the level that I would use, 207. If I get a move below there, I'm not owning Microsoft. I'm taking a step back and reassessing to see exactly where we are. So one more chart for Microsoft. We're just going to zoom in on this action off of September's low. This is what we see happening off that low. We believe we're still in the third wave advance of the advance off of that low in September. So we do see more strength ahead. We expect it to move above September's high and continue higher to give us a fifth wave advance to complete a larger pattern to the upside there. So I think it is getting closer, but you can remain bullish for now. I think we are in a fifth wave up. I think as long as it's trading above 207, you can be bullish. But I think you want to be careful because it does look like we could be getting closer to a more important high, specifically a major third wave high off the 2011 low. So there's Microsoft. Let's move on now to Zoom Communications, ZM. Certainly a hot stock in these COVID times. It's gone absolutely crazy in 2000. It was trading at about 65.70 at the start of the year in 2020. It's now currently trading around 560. So it's had quite the run. It was incepted back in 2019, chopped around, kind of a three-wave pullback, and then everything since then has been strong and bullish to the upside. Now, this is one that I had taken a look at before for somebody else, and I was pretty happy to see that it had tracked our expectations to a T, and this is the exact labeling I had used with him when I had analyzed it for him, and it's still on target. So let's go ahead and zoom in, take a little bit closer look at what's happened in 2020. And this just seeks to kind of balance out every wave, make sure we're getting clean 5-wave advances for every advance, so on and so forth. It still looks bullish. We're expecting this entire advance off of the 2020, basically the 2019 low, to ultimately become a 5-wave advance before it's complete. We believe we are currently in the third wave of that advance, as you can see here. It's traced out nicely. It appears to be in the 5th wave of that third wave advance. So getting closer to a high, but so far there's no indication of a high from what we're seeing so far. If we zoom in and look at just this action here, you can see just this, basically this 5th wave up off of August low. We take a look here. It does look like it's a 5-wave advance. And then if you dive in and look at the 5th of that 5-wave advance, we also have a 5-wave move that looks like it could be nearing completion. So we could be nearing a high. There's no doubt about it, to this third wave advance. But until it moves below 505, it's going to remain bullish, and it's going to have the potential to continue higher from here. And in this market, that means a lot because everything wants to extend in this market. Pullbacks don't want to complete. Moves want to extend as far and as long as they can go. So you have to ride it. Until there's some indication that something has changed, you have to remain bullish in this market. Otherwise, you're leaving money on the table because that's just the way it works. So as long as it's trading above 505, the potential for continued strength will exist. And higher prices should be expected. But if you do start seeing a breakdown, see a move below 505, you have to start worrying that this third wave advance is completed and you're going to get a larger fourth wave pullback, which will have the potential to be a pretty large move to the downside. Overall, we're bullish on Zoom. Just keep an eye on 505. A move below that opens up the door for a much larger pullback. So last but not least, we're going to take a look at KWEB for you. This is a China Internet ETF stock. Don't love this one, and I'll show you why. Basically, it's kind of been all over the board since its inception in 2013. The good thing is that for the most part, pullbacks look like counter trend moves and up moves look like trendy moves. I'm not too wild about this advance here off at the 2015 low. We can label it as a 5-wave move, but basically we're calling a second wave here a year-long move, and then you have this 4th wave, which is kind of supposed to be similar to this second wave, and it only took about 3 months. A little bit questionable. The other thing I really don't like about KWEB is what happened off the 2018 high. Probably the cleanest setup on this entire chart. You had a nice 5-wave advance, a 5-wave decline to the downside. Then you had a clear 3-wave recovery, which set up another down leg, and you got it, but it ended up truncating way below where it should have. We should have saw a much larger move to the downside. So when I see action like this, I kind of wonder about how well it represents social mood. It makes me a little bit concerned that it's not really following the pattern as clear as we would want it to. We should have got a bigger C wave down. We didn't get it. And then the fact, again, overall the pattern's just not that great. It's hard to understand where it is on any larger time frame. So with an ETF or a stock like this, you just kind of take it piecemeal. You look at every individual pattern, and once the pattern completes, you have to get out of the way and see what it has in mind. And in that respect, let's take a look at what's happened off the 2020 low here and see where we are. This appears to be a 5-wave move that's nearing an end, and this is what we're seeing in so many places here. You have a first wave, a second wave, a third wave into August high, a 4th wave pullback, looks like a flat, and then we've had a 5th wave emerge off of September's low. Again, this is what we're seeing so many places, so it seems to check out here as well. And higher prices are likely. It needs to stay above 68 to remain bullish. If it moves below 68, it opens the door to a much larger pullback. And again, I wouldn't want to own it if it gets below 68, because then that just opens the door to a larger pullback. And the fact that the overall pattern, like I showed you before, just isn't that clear, you just don't know. And every time we have seen the completion of an up leg, we see a larger pullback. So I wouldn't wait around if it moved below 68. You can be bullish on this guy as long as it's trading above that level, with the understanding that we're likely in the fifth wave of this advance off March's low. And when it does complete, you're going to get a larger pullback that should at least find its way down to this yellow support area before it's done. So that's what I have for you, Arch. Hope that's helpful. Again, hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you have a great week ahead. And we'll talk to you again very soon. Take care.